Cara Bloomberg is the president of Landrum, one of our sponsors, so we definitely appreciate their sponsorship and support. Cara joined the Landrum leadership team in 2018 as vice president of operations. She was promoted to chief operating officer in January 2019 and assumed the role of president in 2025. In her current role, she oversees Landrum growth and operations, focusing on strategic planning, performance assessment, measurements, and process improvement to ensure an exceptional customer service. With a strong background in relationship building, strategic planning, business development, benefits administration, and HR consulting, Cara takes a comprehensive, people-centered approach to leadership. Her commitment to education is deeply personal. She's the daughter of a retired teacher and a dedicated mother, and actively volunteers with organizations supporting educational advancement. Please help me to welcome Cara Bloomberg.
All right, good afternoon. It's great to see you, and I am acutely aware that I am between you and the end of the day. So I will make sure to not go long on there, and thank goodness for that monitor and that time ticking. It's kind of nerve-wracking, but I'm gonna try not to look at it. So I woke up this morning, and I got to come in town yesterday. I do live in Pensacola, but we have clients here in the upstate, and we actually just opened a new office in downtown Greenville, so we're here a lot. So I woke up this morning and I called my husband, and he said, "Hey, what's on the agenda? I know you're talking later today." And I said, "Man, it is an amazing agenda today. Lieutenant Governor's going to be here. There is a strategist from NVIDIA, a 6'7" basketball player, former basketball player, speaks multiple languages. And we have some amazing breakout sessions with industry experts, an economist from Lightcast, and then there's me." My husband was quiet for a little while, and he just said, "I hope you have some really good jokes." So I'm not really that funny, but you know, I wanted to start with a story. I was really inspired by some of the things that we heard today, and the story is about my stepson, Reese. He is a student at FSU in Florida, and he decided a couple of years ago that he wanted to start his own business. He's a marketing major, and he wanted to do marketing for pool cleaning businesses. And I said, "Okay, Reese, how did you pick this?" And he said, "I wanted to look at an underserved market for people that do really hard work, that may not understand technology and how to obtain new clients, and I think I can help them do that." So it was really cool, and we were proud of him. And he started his business, and he was working, he was going to school, and he started getting some pool cleaning clients, and it was awesome. And 3 months later, he said, "Man, I'm really making a go at this, and I'm going to drop out of school." And we're like, "What? Why are you dropping out of school?" He's like, "Well, school brings no value to me. I'm building this business. I'm getting really busy." And one of the things, as I've learned about the pool cleaning business, is I don't really know about the pool cleaning business. I'm like a marketing guy, right? And so I'm going to go start my own pool cleaning business. And his dad and I were like, "You are crazy. I don't know what's going on. You're crazy." And he said, "No, because to get to where I want to go, I really want to understand the voice of my customer." So he dropped out of school at FSU. He started a pool cleaning business. He built his own route. He did his own marketing, and he did really well. Tallahassee has cleaner pools because of Reese. So then after about 6 months of doing that, he came back to his dad and I, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to go back to school." And we're like, "Okay, well, the pool cleaning business is going really well. You could franchise this thing. It's amazing." He's like, "Yeah, it's a lot of really hard work." He's like, "I'm working like 80 hours a week, and I want to figure it out. I think I want to go to school, but now I'm going to restart my pool cleaning marketing business while I'm going back to school. And now I understand more about what they need me to communicate to their potential clients, the value that they bring." And so he did that. So now he's back in school. I had a friend that lives in Texas called me the other day and she said, hey, this is really weird, but your family picture's on a pool cleaning website in Texas. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's my stepson. He does marketing. So the reason I want to tell you that story, not because like I think Reese is amazing and he's a cool kid, but because the path for education and advancement and workforce solutions is not a straight path. And the more that we can embrace some of the things that Ron was saying, except he's a Debbie Downer, y'all. That was depressing. But the more we can embrace kind of the reality of what he shared with us, and then I hope bring our own kind of faith, hope, and light that we can find solutions to these problems. And guess what? All of us in this room don't necessarily have to solve all those problems, and we may not even be here, but those kids in the green jackets, they're going to help us solve those problems. So, I think that the reality of kind of what we do every day at Landrum, and I'm going to actually talk about that in a minute, the reality of what we do every day at Landrum when we talk about supporting businesses and helping them with their people challenges is that you can't solve it all at once. Sometimes you have to start small, and the path isn't going to be straight. And so you've got to try a lot of different things and figure out what's going to work, and little incremental changes are so important, right? You can't boil the ocean. So what I'm gonna do for the rest of my time is just tell you guys a couple of stories that I hope you will take away some things that maybe we haven't talked about yet, maybe some things that will help support what we've already heard, and I hope really launch us into tomorrow when we're focusing on the Upstate, because I am really excited about tomorrow and learning more about the Upstate and what's happening here. Who's Landrum? We're a 55-year-old business. We started in Pensacola, Florida, and actually Brett Landrum, who's the second-generation CEO, is here. So hi, Brett. And he let me be on the stage instead of him today. And we are a boutique business that started in staffing, traditional staffing. And through 55 years, we've grown into a nationwide business. And we really think about our business as solving people solutions for other businesses. So we work with industries of all sizes, and all different types of industries. And so you'll see some of our clients that are there up on the screen. And one of the things that we find is that there's a lot of commonality that threads through these different size businesses and these different industries. And a lot of times when we bring them together, we find, man, they learn from each other still, even the large to the small, or the transportation to the healthcare. And so the more at Landrum that we can generate conversations like that, the more we want to do it. So how do we do that? We have the privilege of partnering with the Federal Reserve. Our founder was on the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta years ago, and through that relationship, we have built an opportunity to bring someone from the Federal Reserve, economists, on the road with us, and we do events where we want to put different industries, business leaders, decision makers, education, government in the same room, and we want to talk about workforce issues. So first, the economists all tell us really bad news. Most of the time. I've heard them a lot, and typically it's bad news, y'all. And then we say, okay, what are we going to do about all this news? Because at the end of the day, no matter what the data is, we still have to run businesses. We still have to find ways to be successful. And so we need to hear it. We can't close our eyes and ears to the reality of what's happening, but we still have to chart a path. And so we go across the country, Florida, Alabama, Colorado, Texas, California. We bring business leaders, economists, and community partners into the same room. And these conversations are really powerful. They ground economic data in reality and the stories of employers making difficult decisions and adapting to change and planning for the future. We emphasize that businesses can't just react to current economic headwinds. They have to run parallel tracks. They have to address today's challenges while building the strategy, skills, and partnerships that will define the future. And if Ron were here, he might tell me if I keep working on my jokes, I have like a 4.8% chance that they could get funnier by the end of Q4. So I'm working on it. So we just did a series of Fed events in Florida, our hometown, where we've been doing it for a long time. We went into Birmingham, we went into Huntsville, Alabama, and I want to share a little bit about what we heard at those events with hundreds of employers, different industries, different sizes, and across the country, companies are moving more cautiously. Economic uncertainty has created a collective pause. Hiring plans are slowing, investments are being reconsidered, and for many, it feels like a season of waiting. Waiting for clarity, waiting for some sort of stability, waiting for the next wave. Beneath all of that, something significant is really happening. The workforce is shifting, as we've all heard today, and it's not just in size, but in structure, in our mindset, and in our expectations. We're at an inflection point, and it feels like a pause, but we believe it's really a pivot. The choices regions make about workforce and partnership now will determine which ones are ready for the next wave of growth to begin. We're living through a once-in-a-generation reset of what work looks like, who participates in it, and how communities support it. For decades, economies followed a typical pattern. Attract investment, grow jobs, people follow. As we heard from Ron, that's not the case anymore. Today, it's the reverse, and people have become the driver. Talent now decides where opportunity grows. And that means talent just isn't an HR issue, it's an economic development issue, it's a competitiveness issue, it's a community issue. We work with EDA partnerships across the Southeast. We love to be involved in the communities that we serve when businesses are thinking about expanding their business in that area or bringing in a new business. And every discussion that we're in, company leaders ask the same question. Can we be successful attracting the talent we need to this region? So even in a moment when job postings are slowing, it's not a time to be idle. This is a time to prepare, because the regions that invest in their people when the economy pauses will be the first to accelerate when it moves again. The conversation today and tomorrow and ongoing here through the Talent Forum couldn't come at a more important time. Across the country and here in South Carolina, businesses, educators, and government leaders are confronting the same question. How do we prepare for the workforce tomorrow when the ground beneath us is shifting so quickly today? This question is about answering that together. It's about building partnerships that turn workforce challenges into opportunities for shared growth. It's about learning from one another, from education, industry, nonprofits, and government, and creating systems that connect people to opportunities and strengthen regional economies for the long term. We believe workforce strategy is an economic imperative. Talent is the engine that drives innovation, productivity, and community prosperity. And just as importantly, talent is local. Every region has its own dynamics, challenges, and strength. The Upstate has become a model for how regions can align education, business, and policy to build a thriving workforce ecosystem. So today and tomorrow, we've heard a lot about AI, automation, upskilling, and it needs to be part of the workforce strategy now and certainly in the future. But when we talk about workforce strategy, the conversation often gravitates towards large employers, the anchor manufacturers, the hospitals, logistics hubs, and major service providers whose investments fuel regional growth. These organizations are really important. They create stability, scale, and opportunity that can lift entire communities. Our work at Landrum, recruiting HR executives across the country, especially talent acquisition leaders, gives us a bird's eye view of how hiring is changing, and it's already evolving with large employers. They're shifting their hiring requirements. They're searching for experience not only with navigating automation and AI, but also with change management. But what's really important and sometimes overlooked is that the majority of America's workforce is employed by small and mid-sized businesses. These are the companies that make regional economies function day to day. They're suppliers, contractors, innovators, and training grounds for emerging talent. They're also where many careers begin and where adaptability and creativity thrive. At Landrum, we see the SMB story up close. This is where most people actually work and where economic change either takes root or it stalls. Workforce stabilization is critical if we want SMBs to be part of building the future of work. Because here's the truth. When a business is constantly putting out fires, struggling with turnover, filling shifts, covering workloads, it's almost impossible to plan for what's next. They don't have teams of people dedicated to strategy, testing new technology, building out AI strategy, or automation roadmaps. No one can plan for the work when everyone is busy doing the work. These businesses are moving more slowly to adapt hiring practices and evolve skill set requirements. They're challenged with finding time to do upskilling because in general, they're barely scratching the surface of planning for what's next in workforce strategy. And yet these businesses are the ones we need to bring along if we want a workforce that's ready for the future. If we leave small businesses behind, we don't just leave those employers behind, we leave behind their employees. And as we heard, we need every employee we can get. The cashiers, the technicians, the office staff, the healthcare workers, the tradespeople, all of whom we need in the future workforce, equipped with the right skills to contribute not only in their roles, but to the broader economy. Workforce stabilization for SMBs isn't just an HR issue. It's an economic development strategy. When businesses have the room to retain people, they can finally start investing in growth. That means they can upskill, they can automate, they can innovate, they can think about change management. That's how we move from surviving to building and how every employer, no matter the size, becomes part of the talent infrastructure that fuels regional prosperity. Our thousands of clients represent a cross-section of America, from family-run companies to medical practice, manufacturers, and professional service firms. These businesses are often where innovation starts, grounded in real-world problem solving, redesigning schedules to retain working parents, cross-training teams to stay agile, building career paths for entry-level employees who might otherwise move on. When small and mid-sized businesses are included in the workforce planning, outcomes are stronger for everyone. Training programs become more flexible and responsive, career pathways become clearer, and large employers benefit too, because the talent that is in those smaller firms often becomes part of the broader regional labor pool. Here in the upstate, the economy thrives because SMBs form the backbone of manufacturing, logistics, and services, working in partnership with larger employers that anchor this region's growth. Together, you have an ecosystem that's more resilient and better equipped to weather economic change. That's why it's so critical that the small business voice be amplified as a cornerstone of how we build regional workforce systems. How can the upstate and the attendees here at this forum ensure more small and mid-sized businesses understand the work you've done on the Talent Pledge framework? How can we help more SMBs see the resources they have to become active participants? Because when we help small businesses develop talent and not just compete for it, we create growth that's broad, resilient, and deeply rooted in community. I want to share a few examples of some SMBs that are doing some unique things across the country. They're staying ahead of some workforce shifts, and they still need our help. The first step is really finding small or mid-sized businesses that recognize the importance of building workforce strategies. They realize they probably can't do it on their own, and they have leadership that embraces the idea of working with experts like all of you that can help them move further, faster. All right, so we're in Tennessee in my story, and I found a manufacturer there, and they are our client, and they were in the middle of a workforce storm when we found them. So they make a broad range of products: steering and driveline systems, bearings, machining equipment, and machine tools. It's precise and technical work, the kind where reliability, timing, and attention to detail matter every day. For years, they had it down to a science. Their workforce was loyal, turnover was manageable, and operations ran like clockwork. But then the labor market changed. Not just in big cities, but even in small town Tennessee, competition for entry-level talent exploded. Everyone was hiring, Candidates had more options. Wages were rising across the industries. The pandemic reshaped how people thought about work. Job workers were asking different questions, not just what's the pay, but what does this job lead to? That shift hit this manufacturer hard. What started out as call-outs turned into serious attrition, and turnover climbed. The plant was losing good employees before they could reach full productivity. Supervisors were spending all their time reacting, rehiring, re-onboarding, retraining, just keeping their lines running. Vacancies piled up, productivity dipped, and morale followed. And they were vulnerable, not just operationally, but economically. The company's reputation started to slip in the local labor market. People weren't seen as a place to build a career anymore, just a temporary place to land. When you're in advanced manufacturing, that's dangerous. You can't build a strong operation where manufacturing quality products is complex and paramount when your workforce is literally resetting every few months. They were losing people before they could teach them the skills to turn from an A tech into a B tech. And that's the kind of advancement that keeps a company running smoothly and gives employees a reason to stay. If you've been in manufacturing, you know that that's the turning point. A techs are the learners and B techs are the backbone. When you can't get employees from A to B, you lose your competitive edge. So they stopped and asked a bigger question. Instead of how do we just keep filling all these jobs, they asked how do we become the kind of workplace where people actually want to stay, where they can see a future. And that mindset shift from hiring to belonging is when things really started to change from them. They started with the basics. Onboarding was redesigned to feel like a welcome and not just a checklist. New employees were paired with mentors, someone who'd walked in their shoes and could help guide them for the first few critical months. Supervisors got new tools to communicate and connect, short daily stand-ups, regular recognition programs, even stay interviews to find out what mattered before someone thought about leaving. And they acted on what they heard. They found that employees didn't just want higher pay. We heard that today. They wanted progress. So they built visible career paths that made advancement clear. They formalized the A tech to B tech pathway. 1, complete safety and operational training. 2, master a set of core competencies and earn pay increases tied to each milestone. 3, gain certifications through in-house training or online modules. And 4, qualify for B-Tech status with new responsibilities and higher wages. It wasn't just talked. It was mapped out, measurable, transparent, and rigidly executed. They also launched skills clinics inside their facility, and employees could train during paid time. That was huge. It showed that development wasn't something you had to do after hours. It was part of your workday because it was part of your value. To strengthen their leadership pipeline, they created a lead tech role. Employees that weren't yet supervisors but wanted to grow into these positions. It gave high performers a reason to stay and built stability into the organization's future. And the results. Within 6 months, retention jumped from 28% to 85%. They filled 90 production vacancies in just a few weeks. Productivity stabilized, and managers finally had time to focus on continuous improvement and not just crisis management. But the real change was deeper. The workforce became more confident, more skilled, and more connected to the company's success. People started referring their friends and family again, which in a small town in Tennessee is really important. The company began to rebuild its reputation as an employer of choice. Job applicants started to say, I've heard this is a good place to work. That's when you know the momentum has shifted, and today they have a ready pipeline of 15 to 20 people that are already fully qualified, vetted for future openings, and no longer are they waiting for a future opening before they start recruiting. They are always recruiting their next best hire. Because hiring is no longer an urgent need, they're able to identify individuals with transferable skills that when layered with their skills-based training can lead to career progression. So what happens next? Now that stability is returned, they're focused on what comes next and building partnerships that make growth sustainable. They've started exploring ways to work with local technical college and workforce boards to align training with real job requirements. Those relationships are going to evolve into structured apprenticeships, programs where future ATECs can gain foundational skills before they're even hired. They're partnering with high schools and early education programs to introduce students to manufacturing as a modern, technology-driven career path. They're leaning into deeper community partnerships with their chambers and spending more time evaluating what roles need to evolve for future workforce strategies that will implement more automation. So what does that mean for impact in this small town in Tennessee? A more stable plant means more local supplier contracts, more consistent production schedules, and higher regional outputs. As employees move from A-Tech to B-Tech, household incomes rise, and that spending flows directly into local businesses. Fewer people cycling through jobs means more people putting down roots, buying homes, investing in schools, and contributing to the local tax base. Their success signals to other employers and potential investors that this region can develop and retain skilled talent. This manufacturer went from being vulnerable to being vital, and not because they found people, but because they found a better way to invest in the people that they already had. They didn't just fix a turnover problem, they built the foundation of a workforce ecosystem. We've heard so much about preparing for the workforce strategy that needs to come: automation, upskilling, AI, new models for talent development. But it's important to recognize that so many employers feel overwhelmed imagining this new world of work that they're supposed to be creating. They can't just pause their business to plan for the future. They can't slow down their need to grow, to serve customers, or to stay competitive while they design this perfect long-term strategy. SMBs don't have the luxury of dedicated teams that can only build strategy. Their leaders are running operations, managing teams, hiring, and trying to keep up with change all at once. For them, workforce strategy has to be lived while it's being built. They have to act on what they can do now, make incremental progress, and build a roadmap one step at a time, and that's why they need all of us. Another great example is a multi-specialty healthcare practice that's in Florida. They were dealing with constant turnover and entry-level roles: nurses' aides, technicians, and support staff. The middle managers were trapped in a cycle: interview, hire, onboard, train, repeat, only to lose employees before they could gain traction. It drained the managers, it disrupted teams, and ultimately it impacted patient care. The practice partnered with a workforce management team to take over hiring, onboarding, and early development for these roles. When turnover started slowing, the people coming in the door were better matched, better prepared, and more motivated to become long-term team members. Managers had some breathing room. They had time to lead instead of replace. The patient experience surveys began to reflect that stability, with noticeable improvements in consistency and care delivery. Once the short-term problem was stabilized, the organization could look ahead. Leadership now had the bandwidth to work on the business, not just in it. They began building their long-term talent roadmap, partnering with regional workforce boards, community colleges to design targeted training programs and certifications that help entry-level employees move into the higher-skilled, higher-wage positions. They are now exploring how to integrate AI and automation to handle administrative tasks and free clinicians to focus on patient care. And they're creating new technical roles that didn't even exist before. This evolution from survival mode to strategic workforce development, it didn't happen overnight. It started with solving one pain point and then using that success to build the next step. That's the lesson for all of us. Future workforce strategy isn't just a plan on paper. It's the discipline of building capacity today so that you can create the workforce that you'll need for tomorrow. And they had regional economic impact too. They stabilized entry-level healthcare positions and created consistent employment for local residents, which improved in household income stability. It did improve their patient care and enhanced the healthcare system's reputation, attracting more patients from across the region and supporting related healthcare businesses. The training partnerships with local colleges now benefit the entire regional healthcare ecosystem, creating a steady pipeline of skilled talent for multiple providers. And as retention improved, it filled up the local talent for other employers to go and strengthen the broader labor market and support regional economic growth. So how can we go deep into people pipeline development, not just recruiting talent, but developing and building it with a regional and local focus? I want to share a story about the University of West Florida, which is in Pensacola in our Northwest Florida community. Because our roots are in Pensacola, we often get a chance, and we're so deeply connected into the community that we participate or we lead programs that we hope we can pilot and we can take elsewhere. And there's some unique things about this program that I think those of you that are here and that work for the Upstate may appreciate. Instead of employers competing for the same pool of talent, Catalyst helps them develop talent. It creates a sustainable workforce pipeline that benefits businesses and students. What makes this program so successful is that it's led by UWF's Office of Workforce Development, which operates almost like a workforce strategy consulting firm within the university. They don't just send out a call for student applications for internships. They take a deeply personal, curated approach. The office meets with each interested employer to understand their workforce needs and connects with professors in key majors like engineering, supply chain, marketing to identify students that those professors would personally recommend. From there, the office reaches out to those students to gauge their interest and guide them through the process. That intentional matchmaking is what makes this program really successful. UWF curates the right talent for employers, not just whoever applies. It's personal, it's relational, and it builds a lasting connection between the university and the regional business community. The program is built on 3 key components. Paid workforce experience. At UWF, the majority of students are non-traditional and they have jobs to support themselves while they're going through school. So this is an opportunity for them to take those jobs they're doing that may not, great work experience may not translate into what they want to do for the future, and change that mentality of, yes, you can have a paid work experience still, but it can really be focused on where you want to go into your career. And a lot of these roles, as the Workforce Development Office at UWF is talking to employers, they're helping to translate what do these majors mean that can translate into work that you need for future state. So they are really having an opportunity to educate employers on thinking about what are these different roles that you need. They're part of that workforce strategy talent roadmap. Every student that participates in the program has to take an essential, somebody said we shouldn't say this word anymore, but soft skills course. Every participating student takes a course, and they're focused on developing foundational skills that include communication, teamwork, professionalism, critical thinking, and problem solving. It's not just theory-based, it's practical, it's immersive, it's designed to help prepare students for the workplace. It encourages students to think critically, engage actively, and develop their own leadership voice. There's also a strong emphasis on professionalism, respect, and the soft skills that drive real-world success. The third component is the mentorship program. Each student's paired with a manager and a dedicated mentor within the organization. This dual support model helps students build confidence, expand their networks, and strengthen their career readiness through consistent guidance and feedback. And there's another differentiator that is assisted with employer adoption. Students are officially hired by Landrum, which means employers don't have to handle compliance, onboarding, or payroll. It removes friction for employers. So we're starting to see more and more small businesses want to take an opportunity to take on their own interns because they can focus on what matters, integrating, training, and mentoring their new team members from day one. The students commit to working at least 20 hours a week, and most participating employers commit to offering full-time opportunities after graduation. When the Talent Catalyst program first launched in the fall of 24, it started small, just 7 company partnerships and 21 students. 1 year later, it's grown to include all 7 companies that originally participated and an additional 8 companies that signed on. GE Vernova was actually the first to sign on. Because of our longstanding relationship with GE Vernova in Pensacola, we brought this program to them through UWF. Even though GE runs a national internship program, they immediately saw the value because Catalyst taps into local talent that they needed to support that specific site's growth. And now many of their tier suppliers are joining the program too. So that's the ripple effect that you want. One employer's investment in a people pipeline development, inspiring others to follow, setting up a system that small and mid-sized businesses can also tap into. Programs like this don't just fill short-term staffing needs, they develop lifelong learners, confident communicators, and future leaders who can contribute immediately to their local economies. So for businesses, it means building a robust talent pipeline, one that delivers skilled, prepared, and engaged professionals. For students, it's a launch pad, a chance to gain meaningful paid work experience, receive personal mentorship, and graduate ready to contribute at a high level from day one. This is the future of workforce strategy, not just competing for talent, but cultivating it. For my baseball fans in the room, you have to build a farm system. My husband told me to say that joke, and I don't really know baseball, so I'm going to tell him no one laughed. I want to close with one more regional example, and in Northwest Florida. It shows the power of connecting people, partnership, and place. And it's an example that I think shows that our approach to workforce challenges are system challenges. We need to include education, we need to have government advocacy, and we need employers. So in Northwest Florida, the military isn't just part of the community, it is the community. We have 6 active installations that anchor the region's economy, supporting housing markets, service industries, and hundreds of small businesses. Each year, more than 5,000 service members in Northwest Florida transition out of active duty. They bring leadership, technical expertise, and security and clearances that many industries really need. And they're not coming alone. Active duty members are often accompanied by spouses and dependents, many of whom are highly skilled and also contributing to the workforce. What's remarkable is that most veterans say they would like to stay in the area if they can find meaningful work, and that's the opportunity. These are individuals who've already proven their ability to lead, solve complex problems, and show up with discipline and purpose every single day. They bring exactly the kind of soft skills that strengthen any organization: professionalism, punctuality, leadership, and loyalty. So when communities tap into a talent pipeline like this, they don't just fill jobs, they raise the standard for the entire regional workforce. So what's next in this plan, and how will this region take the next step to build a true veteran-ready workforce system? We want to build a veteran-ready employer roster, a go-to list of employers who are ready to hire and support veterans. These employers will be equipped with practical tools, job description that translate military experience into civilian language, interview guides that help hiring managers ask the right questions, and onboarding checklists to set veterans up for success from day one. These toolkits are going to be shared through our chambers, our economic development offices, and our regional workforce partners. So everyone's working from the same playbook and speaking the same language when it comes to veteran hiring. Next, the region's planning to host targeted hiring and transition events, not just generic job fairs, but focused sessions that connect employers directly with veterans separating from nearby bases. Some events will be in person, others will be virtual, so we can meet the talent wherever they are in their transition journey. We want to explore, similar to the UWF Catalyst program, how do we help curate the right talent for employers that feels personal to both the candidates and to the employers within the region. We're exploring a rapid placement pilot, 20 to 50 roles across key industries like manufacturing, logistics, IT, healthcare tech, and security. We're going to pre-screen, match, and place veterans into paid roles within 30 days. It's a fast, visible win that gets people working and builds energy around the effort. And for employers that need cleared talent, defense contractors, aerospace, cybersecurity firms, the region's promoting clearance-ready pipelines, connecting companies directly to veterans whose security clearance are active or recently expired. These quick early actions send a powerful message. This region gets things done. Employers gain confidence, veterans gain purpose and income, and the community sees momentum. Once these immediate wins are in place, Northwest Florida is looking towards a longer-term strategy, building true pipelines that will sustain the work for years to come. That means crediting employer education transition pathways, where colleges, technical schools, and employers co-design short, targeted programs that convert military training into civilian credentials. Think CNC machining, logistics, cybersecurity, clinical tech, all aligned to regional demand. It also means adding veteran navigators, people embedded in colleges, workforce boards, and large employers who help veterans translate their military experience, understand their benefits, and navigate the next step. The region's exploring paid apprenticeships and internships that could be co-funded by employers and education partners. That offers clear advancement paths and even academic credit. Veterans earn while they learn, and employers build the skilled workforce they need. Mentorship is another key piece, pairing every new veteran hire with a mentor, whether it's a veteran or a civilian colleague. These relationships build belonging and dramatically improve retention. Finally, the region's focused on credentialing, working with state boards and colleges to fast-track licenses and fill training gaps quickly through boot camps and short courses. When veterans see a clear, supported path to civilian success, they stay. And when they stay, the whole region grows stronger. Northwest Florida economic developers are even looking at ways to include veteran hiring commitments in business recruitment and expansion deals, ensuring that every new investment also grows opportunity for those who served. So to bring it all together, a veteran talent portal will make it easy for both employers and veterans to connect, featuring job postings, credential translation tools, mentorship signups, spouse employment resources, and even local housing information that could be all in one place. The region's going to measure its impact, tracking placements, retention, promotion, credentials earned, and publishing an annual Veteran Talent Impact Report. That transparency builds confidence, attracts investment, and tells the story of progress. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about hiring veterans, it's about building a system. So when you step back and you look at all these stories together, a manufacturer, a healthcare facility, the UWF Talent Catalyst Program, the military exiting transition work that's happening across Northwest Florida, they all come back to one central truth. Talent is infrastructure. Just like roads, power, and internet, talent is the foundation that keeps our economies moving and our communities growing. I look forward to hearing the Upstate stories tomorrow that I hope to take into our other communities that we serve. I know there's going to be a lot that we can model and share and talk about in other places. And I want to make sure that I emphasize that everything that I talked about today started as a local solution. Together, it illustrates something bigger. You treat talent as infrastructure, you stop reacting, you start building. You build deeper partnerships with business and education. You align short-term hiring needs with long-term talent development. You design systems that don't just fill jobs, but grow people. Because it's not just about workforce, it's about building the systems that make opportunity sustainable. That's how regions compete, that's how economies grow, and that's how we turn talent into the true engine of economic development. And I have a few minutes for questions as long as they're not hard. Oh, wait, you can ask me a hard one because I have a whole team of experts over there and they take all the hard questions. And if you don't have any questions, that's okay, because remember, I recognize that I am standing between you and the end of the day.